it's Deja from crocheteverafter.com, and right now what I'm going to show you is how to single crochet when you're working in spirals. So this is going to help you when you're doing amigurumi, and I'm going to give you some tips on how to keep track of your rounds. So let's get started. So working in single crochet spirals has its benefits and it also has its disadvantages. When you're doing amigurumi or stuffed animals and you're going to be closing up your project, working in spirals is the easiest and cleanest way to make your rounds. If you're making a beanie, it may not be so great because of the ending stagger that you get from when you finish your last round. I'm going to show you a little bit of that right now. So first off, to begin working in spirals, you can either do a magic adjustable loop or you can chain two and begin working into your second chain from your hook to make your round, and that's what I'm going to do. If you need to learn how to make a magic adjustable loop, which is good for stuffed animals and anything that you want the hole to be completely closed, you can check out that tutorial, but I'm just going to do the easy chain two and then work into that second chain. Because I'm doing single crochets, I'm going to make 6 single crochets into the second chain from my hook. And that's just the geometry of it. To make a flat laying circle in single crochet, you have to increase by 6 stitches in every round. When you want it to not lay flat any longer, then you can begin just single crocheting around and around and around. So let's see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me do 2 more, then I'm going to join, well actually, sorry, I'm not going to join it because I'm working in spirals. That's one of the benefits, you don't have to join your rounds. So as you can see, the chain 2 leaves a little bit of a hole. It's easy to work into, so if you don't mind the hole, that's kind of the faster, easier way to begin a round when you're working in single crochet. I like it a lot when I'm not doing anything where I need the hole closed. So I've done 6 single crochets into my second chain for my hook, and now I'm going to begin to work in spirals. So the great thing is I don't have to join my round. All I need to do is single crochet into that first single crochet I made. And because I want it to lay flat, and I don't want to make like an arm or a leg on a stuffed animal right now and make a tube, I'm going to single crochet 2 times into every stitch because I need 6 increases on this round to make it lay flat, and I only have 6 stitches, so I have to do 2 stitches in every single crochet around. So that'll read in a pattern either increase if you're only doing single crochets in that pattern, or it'll say single crochet 2 times in the next stitch. And I'm going to pull out my stitch marker, and I always like to put my stitch marker in the first stitch of my round. Some people like to put it in the last stitch of the previous round to let them know that that was the last stitch. I like to put it in the first stitch so I don't have to stop working the entire round. And all that does is it marks the beginning of my second round, but it also allows me the benefit of not having to count as much, especially when I'm working just single crochets around, which I'll show you in a little bit. So right now, since I'm making 2 single crochets into each previous single crochet, I can just count 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2 around until I hit that stitch marker, instead of having to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this allows me a little bit more freedom. You know, if you're watching TV, 1, 2 is a lot easier to keep in your head than trying to count all the way to 12. Because you know, somebody will say a number and you'll get off in your count. So I easily just did 2 single crochets in every single crochet around, and now I'm back to my first stitch. So you can see the stitch marker comes in very handy. I like the locking stitch markers because they won't fall out as I'm working. So to create my next flat round of single crochets, I have to increase by 6 again. So to do that, I'm going to single crochet in 2 times in every other stitch, and then just a regular single crochet in the stitch in between. So again, I'm going to go in a spiral. I don't join, so I do 2 single crochets in this first stitch, and I always, if I'm doing 2 in one stitch, I wait to add my stitch marker so I don't have to stop. And this little tiny, stop to put it in really saves a lot of time in counting, because now I can just count to 3. I can say 1, 2, and then 3 for my single crochet in the second stitch. 1 and 2, then my next stitch, regular single crochet, 3. So I can go around by just counting in 3s. Then, once I want to actually start turning and making my flat piece curve up, and I just work in single crochet all the way around, I don't have to count it all with my stitch marker. So working in spirals is great if you don't want a seam. However, when you're done with your work, and I'm going to show you right here at this round when I'm finished with this last stitch, that if I was making, say, a beanie, and this was my last round of my beanie, we're going to pretend it's actually beanie shaped, you can see that there is a big offset from this stitch to my first stitch of the round. When you're working with a join, you don't have this offset. So to mask that offset, what I like to do is I insert my hook into the next stitch and I yarn over, and then I pull through and slip stitch, and it brings it down a little bit so it's not so noticeable. And if I maybe put an edging on it where I'm going to join it at the last round, it will create even less of a noticeable join right there. So there's a couple things you can do to make it not so noticeable when you're working in spirals, but that's kind of one of the disadvantages of working in spirals. If you're going to be making stuffed animals or sewing this to anything, then that's not going to be a problem, because you're going to close off, or you're going to make it into a ball or anything where it's not going to have that fasten off where it's showing the offset. Then that's cool. So on this sample here, I did the same 3 rounds of single crochet increasing to get to 18 stitches, because I had 3 of my, I did 1, 2, 3, and I did 6 times, so that's 18. And then this next round I'm doing is just single crochet all the way around. So I wanted to show you the benefit of having that stitch marker there. If I had to get up from my project and I have no idea where my actual round began, I can sit back and look for my increases and try to figure it out or count. But with this stitch marker, all I have to do is continue on. I know that I'm on my round 4, which is just single crochet around. With that stitch marker, I don't have to worry about having to mark off where I left off, or if I have to get up very quickly, it's not going to throw me off. So that's the real benefit of these stitch markers once you get going just around and around, that you don't have to keep count. You can watch TV and just single crochet all you want. So you can see that there's no visible join. You can kind of see how it spirals out. You can see the beginning right here. It just goes around. So you can use it for some interesting projects also, but that's how you're going to single crochet in a spiral.